He had been inside her apartment, not once, not twice, for 8 months. He had been walking through her home while she slept. She didn't find out until he wanted her to. This reel was given to me by a woman who spent 2 years trying to describe what was done to her. She couldn't find the words, so she stopped looking for them and gave me something worse. The facts, every fact she could remember, every date, every letter, every object found in places it had no right to be, and a name, her name, written in a notebook alongside 10 others, in handwriting so calm, so careful, so completely without urgency, that it will stay with you long after this recording ends. I am going to tell you everything. I will tell you about the 6 weeks she spent feeling like something was wrong and talking herself out of it every single day. I will tell you about the letters, 3 of them, each one worse than the one before. I will tell you what her sister found behind the bathroom mirror. And I will tell you about the notebook. Her name was Sarah. She was 28 years old. She lived alone. She thought she was safe. For 8 months of her ordinary, unremarkable life, someone had a key to her front door, and they used it. This is her recording. Press play. Sarah moved into the apartment on a Thursday in October. 3rd floor, corner unit. A park across the street. The trees going amber and red. The kind of view that makes a person feel like the city is giving them something. She had looked at 6 places before this one. The moment she stood at that window, she stopped looking. She was a graphic designer. She worked from home. She lived alone, which she had always preferred. The quiet, the control, the ability to exist in a space entirely on her own terms. She had a cat named Fig. She had succulents on the windowsill. She had a routine so consistent, so reliable, so perfectly timed that you could have set a watch by her. Coffee at 7, work until noon, lunch at the cafe 2 blocks south, corner seat, window side, always. A walk at 4 through the park, same entrance, same path, same side of the fountain. Home by 5, dinner, sleep, every day, without variation, without exception. She thought of her routine as comfort. She had no way of knowing that someone else thought of it as a map. In December, 10 weeks after she moved in, Sarah came home from holiday shopping to find her front door open. Not broken, not forced, open, 2 inches, no more. The lock was intact. The frame was clean. No scratches, no marks, no evidence of anything. Just the door, sitting open in a way it had not been when she left. She stood in the hallway for a long moment. Then she went inside. She walked through every room, the kitchen, the bedroom, the bathroom. Fig was on the couch. The succulents were on the sill. Nothing was missing. Nothing was out of place. She locked the door. She made tea. She told herself she must have been distracted leaving. She was right about one thing. She had been distracted. Just not by the shopping. January. The feeling began in January. Not a dramatic feeling. Not the kind that announces itself. This was quieter than that, more patient. A low, cold signal running just beneath the surface of everything she did. The specific sensation was this. She was being watched, not followed, not threatened, just observed steadily, consistently. with an attention she couldn't locate and couldn't shake. She felt it in the elevator, standing alone as the doors closed. She felt it at her desk, with her back to the window, certain something behind her was aware of her. She felt it on her 4 o'clock walk, on her same path, past her same fountain, the unmistakable sensation of eyes that she could not find no matter how many times she turned around. She told her doctor. Her doctor said it sounded like anxiety. She told her friend. Her friend said she should try meditating. She tried both. And here's the thing about anxiety, real anxiety, that people who have experienced it understand. It is formless. It has no source. It rises and falls on its own schedule, independent of logic, independent of evidence. What Sarah was feeling had a source. It had a location. It was coming from somewhere specific, in a direction she couldn't name, from a presence she couldn't see. Her body knew something her mind refused to accept. For 6 weeks, she chose her mind. The first letter arrived on the 14th of February, Valentine's Day. Whether that timing was deliberate, no one ever determined. It was slipped under her front door while she was out. During the hours between 7 and noon, the hours she was reliably at her desk, reliably facing her screen, reliably not watching her own door. Plain white paper, folded once, no envelope, no name. Nothing on the outside to suggest it was anything other than a takeout flyer. Sarah almost threw it away. She didn't. She unfolded it, and she read these words. You left your coffee maker on this morning when you went to the cafe. You really should be more careful. You could start a fire. I have been watching out for you. She read it once. Then she read it again. Then she stood in her hallway, holding a piece of paper, and felt the entire temperature of her world drop several degrees. Because a kind neighbor leaves a note that says, I noticed your coffee maker was on. A kind neighbor does not write, I have been watching out for you. That phrase, watching out for you, is not concern dressed up as language. It is a statement of surveillance dressed up as kindness. It is someone telling you, very calmly, that they see you, that they have been seeing you, that they intend to keep seeing you, and there is nothing you can do about it. The police came. They knocked on doors. They filed a report. There were no cameras in the hallways. There was no footage. There were no witnesses. There was only the letter, bagged, labeled, filed, and effectively set aside. Sarah began sleeping with her chain lock on. She moved her desk so her back was no longer to the window. She changed her lunch schedule. Some days noon, some days later. Occasionally, she skipped it entirely. She was, without knowing the word for it, scrambling, making herself harder to read. It was too late for that. 3 weeks after the first letter, on the 7th of March, the second one arrived. Same paper, same fold, same door, same hours. It said, the gray coat suits you so much better than the blue one. You always seem happier when you wear it. Have you noticed that about yourself? Sarah owned 2 winter coats, gray and blue. She had not photographed them. She had not mentioned them. Her social media was private. Her followers were people she knew by name, by face, by history. There's only one way to know which coat a stranger prefers. You stand somewhere close enough to watch her put it on, close enough to watch her expression change when the gray one goes over her shoulders, close enough to decide that she seems happier. And then you go home and you write it down. On the 22nd of March, the third letter arrived. This one was shorter than the others. 3 sentences. It said, "Fig hasn't been eating well this week. You should take him to the vet. I'm sure you've noticed too. I want you to stop for a moment. I want you to read those 3 sentences again in your mind. Fig hasn't been eating well this week. You should take him to the vet. I'm sure you've noticed too. This person, this patient, deliberate, invisible presence that had been occupying the edges of Sarah's life for months, knew her cat's name, not her full name, not her address, not her job, her cat's name, a name she had never posted, never mentioned publicly, never attached to any profile, any account, any record that existed outside the walls of that apartment, a name she used in the quiet of her own home, late at night, when she thought no one could hear. The only way to know that name is to listen, from somewhere close, for a very long time. Sarah called her sister at 11:30 that night. She was not crying. She was past the point where crying made any sense. Her sister booked the first available flight. She landed 31 hours later, and within 2 days, they found it. Behind the bathroom mirror, pressed flat, hidden in the gap between the mirror frame and the wall, small enough that you would never find it, unless you were already looking. Her sister found it, with her fingertips first, felt something that shouldn't have been there, and then held it up under the light. A recording device, not a camera, a microphone, battery-powered, $40 online, no expertise required, no tools, nothing that would leave a mark, just placed. In the most private room of her home. The police came. An evidence technician examined the device, and then he said something, quietly, almost to himself, as if he was still working through the arithmetic, that Sarah would not sleep through for the next 2 years. He said, "This type of unit runs for 3 to 4 days on a single charge." He turned it over in his gloved hand. "This one has been used heavily." He set it down on the edge of the sink, which means someone has been coming back. Not once, not twice, repeatedly into her home, into her bathroom, while she was at her predictable cafe, in her predictable corner seat, living her predictable life. Someone was inside her apartment, collecting the device, recharging it somewhere, returning it, pressing it back behind the mirror, and walking out, closing the door behind them, quietly, like they lived there. The investigation took 3 weeks. Security footage from a pharmacy across the street, grainy Tuesday afternoon, 12:17 p.m., showed a man entering Sarah's building. No hesitation, no glance over his shoulder. The stride of someone who had done this many times before. He had worked for the property management company that maintained Sarah's building. He had left that job 4 months before she moved in. Investigators believe he made copies of the master keys on his way out the door. Not one copy, several. When they executed the search warrant on his home, they found, alongside the charging cables, the spare batteries, the second recording device still in its packaging, a notebook. Plain cover, spiral bound, the kind you buy in a multi-pack. Inside it, written in blue ink, in handwriting that was neat and unhurried and absolutely without remorse, were the names of 11 women, 6 buildings, 1 city, each entry filled with the same information: name, unit number, physical description, daily schedule broken into hourly increments, behavioral patterns, habits, and at the bottom of each page, underlined once, a section marked vulnerabilities. He had been doing this for years. Sarah was not his first. She was not his last. She was number 7, written in blue ink, on a page in a notebook, in handwriting so calm you'd think he was making a grocery list. Sarah moved out within the month. New city, new name online, new accounts, no locations, no timestamps, no photographs of her windows or her street or the view from her corner seat. She changes her schedule every 3 weeks now. Different cafe, different route, different hours, so that no one watching long enough could ever build a map of her. She calls it scrambling. She told me the hardest part was never the discovery, never the letters, not even the device. The hardest part was going back, sitting with 8 months of ordinary memory. Mornings she thought were private, evenings she thought were hers, and finding him inside every one of them. The man in the lobby she probably nodded to. The shape at the edge of the park she filed away as nothing. The footstep in the stairwell she spent 3 seconds thinking about before deciding it was a neighbor. Every unremarkable moment now had a second layer, a consciousness behind it, an attention that had been trained on her, precisely, patiently, carefully, while she made her coffee, walked her path, held her cat, talked to him softly in the way people talk to animals when they believe no one is listening. For 6 weeks before the first letter, her body had been screaming, and she had been so well trained to call that scream anxiety that she silenced it every single day. That is what she needed people to understand, not what he did, what she almost let herself miss. The notebook had 11 names, 1 man, 1 city, 1 notebook. Think about what that means for a moment, not as a statistic, as 11 people. 11 people who made themselves predictable, who built routines because routines feel like safety, and became, without knowing it, readable, mappable, collectible. I am not telling you this story so you are afraid to leave your house. I am telling you this story because of those 6 weeks. Because somewhere right now, there is a person ignoring the feeling on the back of their neck, talking themselves out of the signal their own body is sending, calling it anxiety, calling it nothing, calling it irrational. That feeling is not irrational. It is the oldest surveillance system ever built, older than any camera, any lock, any alarm. It runs on no battery. It requires no installation. And it has been keeping human beings alive since long before we had language to describe what it was detecting. When it activates, when that cold, precise directional awareness tells you that something nearby is paying attention to you, do not silence it. Do not override it. Do not call it anxiety and download a meditation app. Look up, look around. Trust the thing inside you that already knows. Sarah does. She has not ignored it once, since the day her sister put that device on the edge of the sink. The tape is almost out. One last thing. Check the things in your home that shouldn't have gaps behind them. Behind the mirrors, behind the clocks, behind the things on the walls that you placed there once and never thought about again. This recording is now closed.